What's going on YouTube? This is Vince with vshred.com, and today I am going to be showing you guys how to just get bigger arms. And a lot of times when guys or girls are thinking about big arms, they associate it with the bicep. They associate it with the show muscles that everybody sees all the time, and they think that to get big arms that you got to build up your biceps and you got to do a bunch of curls. And truth is, when it comes to arm anatomy, when it comes to how your muscles actually make up your arm, how they take up your arm, about 60–70% of your arm is actually taken up by your triceps. So to actually get bigger arms, to build the mass on your arms themselves, you need to work on your triceps. But there is a better way to work your triceps than others, and that is just specifically by hitting all three heads of your triceps. And basically, if you're just going to go in, you're going to do this workout, and then you're going to go to this workout, you're going to do this workout, and you're just going to go from one to another with no actual plan in mind, then you're either A, going to build up one part of your triceps more than the other, and you're basically going to have a muscle imbalance where it's not looking even, or you're just going to always struggle at getting bigger arms. So right now I'm about to show you two different exercises for each different part of your triceps. So how many different parts are there? Well, there's three different heads to your triceps, and I'll show you them right now. So right here, this part that you see on the outside of your arm, that is going to be the lateral head of your triceps. So that is just going to be hit by, it's basically very similar to, actually I'll get into it in a second. So this is going to be the lateral head of your tricep, and then the one that you have running that creates that horseshoe, so the lateral head and the long head of your tricep actually create that horseshoe that you see in your muscles. So that is going to be the big bulky part that you see from actually underneath your arm. Then comes your medial head, and your medial head actually kind of runs down below and it kind of runs actually like underneath. Your medial head of your tricep is not actually seen like the lateral head or the long head is, but it still needs to be worked so that you can just build the density underneath so that your horseshoe actually pokes out. So let's start with the actual big bulky part of the tricep, because that is the part that is going to be being built the biggest, and that is your long head. So the part underneath that I talked about, the big thick part of your tricep, you have to look at how it is on your body. And basically looking at it, you can see, I don't have a mirror back here, but you can see that the long head here actually runs up all the way behind the shoulder a little bit. So you can actually see, I'm not sure how clear you can see a line up behind the shoulder, and it kind of runs up there. So that right there shows you that to get the peak contraction of your long head of your tricep, you actually have to have shoulder elevation. And that is, otherwise, you're never going to get that peak contraction, and that is why some guys have a lack of a tricep, I guess you could say, because they don't have that mind-muscle connection with the long head of their tricep because they're not doing any kind of shoulder elevation. So I'm going to show you a quick exercise with a shoulder elevation, and this is a very common one. You can come over here. And this is a very common one. I'll just use this bar right here. I'm going to lay down back here. So this is a very common exercise. I'm not in this bench right, just so you guys, you can come around here. I'm not in this bench right at all. I know that. But basically, shoulder elevation, and what you're going to do is a skull crusher. And I've made videos about this before, about the proper form of a tricep skull crusher. And basically, instead of just holding the weight right here, what you're going to do is actually bring the weight back, because that is going to start engaging your tricep immediately, versus right here, you're completely perpendicular to the ground, so you're just literally holding this weight straight up by locking out your arms. Whereas when you bring this weight to an angle, you're immediately engaging your tricep. So this would be your starting position. From here, that is where you're going to get your peak contraction without cheating a little rest. So you're going to go down to just under 90 degrees behind your head, get that stretch on your tricep, and then you're going to push up, and remember to keep your elbows back, that way you can get that peak contraction. So come around on top of me a little bit so that you can see the long head of the tricep get that full contraction. So I'm going to go down, feel that stretch in your tricep, just below 90 degrees, get that stretch, and push back up, squeezing that part of your tricep, keeping your elbows back, getting that peak contraction with your long head, and that is how you're going to build up that big bulky part right there and build it up behind your shoulders. So with the shoulder elevation with the skull crusher is going to help that. So I'll show you one more with it. So let's say you guys only have a dumbbell or a set of dumbbells. You can come around. So another thing is that when you are trying to hit your long head, another way to kind of engage that peak contraction is by basically pulling your elbow back behind you so that you can get that part of your tricep hit that goes up behind your shoulder by pulling that back. And by pulling that back, that's going to give you that top contraction and get you that mind muscle connection a lot easier so that you can establish it in other exercises as well. So very easy way to do this is with a dumbbell kickback, a very common tricep exercise. So basically, you're just going to have this dumbbell right here. You're going to lift your elbow up, and basically you're going to bend forward, bending at the hips, not bending at the lower back where you can hurt yourself. Bending at the hips, arching your back, lifting your elbow up, and pushing that weight back. And you can see right there is going to get that peak contraction on my tricep. And something to remember when doing a dumbbell kickback is that a lot of times when guys are doing dumbbell kickbacks, they're going like this. And they think that because they're going from a bent arm to a straight arm, they're working their tricep. When really, this isn't doing shit for my tricep right here. But the second I actually lift my elbow up and think about the actual range of motion that is actually going to target my tricep muscle, it's about from here, where even right here, I'm not really hitting my tricep. But the second I lift my elbow up more, get a little extension with my elbow, and then push from here to full extension to where my arm is straight, that is smashing my long head of my tricep right now. And then when I go back down, I'm not even going to go down to 90 degrees because as soon as I drop it to here, I'm resting. I could sit here for 5 minutes if I wanted to. I could not sit here for 5 minutes. So you go from here, so this is your starting position. And then you kick it back, straight arm, squeeze that tricep, and then back down to just above 90 degrees and back up. And that is going to give you that peak contraction on your tricep. I can actually feel it really well right now. So that's how you build that big, bulky head of your tricep, the long head. Next, we're going to talk about the lateral head, so the part that sticks out, this part right here. I'll give you 2 exercises for this. And the lateral head, you might be wondering, well, how do you hit that? Lateral head is very similar to, I want you guys to think about your quads. So when you are working out your quad muscle, and let's say you're doing a leg extension, not very good on your knees, but let's say you're doing a leg extension. So when you are turning your leg to one side or the other, let's say you're on a leg extension and you angle your leg a little farther in, that is going to hit your inner quad muscle right there. But then the second you turn it out, that is going to hit your outer quad muscle. So the same thing happens with your tricep. If you're trying to target your lateral head of your tricep, all you have to do is go from right here to right here. And that is what's going to target that outer head. You can even, if you want to sit right here, if you're watching this video right now and you want to sit in your chair and you want to stand up and you want to put your arms down by your side and flex your triceps, okay? All I want you to do is go from this, flex your triceps, and then turn your elbow in. Rotate your shoulder, turn your elbow in, and I bet you feel a deeper flex on that lateral head of your tricep. And then all you do is basically integrate some kind of cable extension, some dumbbell extension, overhead extension, where your arm is going to be turned in so that you hit the lateral head of your tricep. So I'll show you 2 exercises for that real quick. I'll just do some dumbbell overhead. So come back over here. So real simple exercise. If you guys just have dumbbells, just get a dumbbell in your hand, and I'll go this arm. And basically what you want to do is, a lot of guys, so this is basically just an overhead, I guess, crossbody dumbbell extension. And basically what a lot of people do when they do this exercise, some people have never heard of it, but if you have and you've done this before, a lot of guys call this right here the starting position, because they think that going from here down to 90 degrees and then back up to here is going to be their full range of motion. And truth is, that is going to be the full range of motion, but it's not going to be optimizing the amount of time that your tricep muscle is under tension. So I want you to actually come around right above this, looking down at me, so that you can see the bend in my elbow. So from here, this is where most people start, okay? What I want you to do is actually bring your arm across your body. It's the same thing I was talking about with both the other exercises. When I'm here, this is just my arm perpendicular to the ground. I'm not actually working my tricep at all right now. I could literally hold this for who knows how long. But the second I take it from here to here, now I'm immediately working that lateral head of my tricep more than when I wasn't even working it at all right here, honestly. So I bring it over, and this is going to be your starting position. Then from here, you're going to bring this down just under 90 degrees. You're not gonna rest it on your chest. You're just gonna, I basically go down and I touch my chest, or not bounce it, but just touch it so that you get that full range of motion. You're basically gonna keep your elbow right above you, down to your chest, and push back up, smashing that lateral head of your tricep. Back down, feeling the stretch, back up, feeling that, and then basically, remember, you're keeping your elbow all the way over, so you're not going down like this, and then bringing it back over to where now you're resting again, and you can even hear it in my voice. This is so much easier. Then when I go over here, you start feeling it again. You start feeling the tension on your muscle. So that's a great exercise. All right, so another good exercise for the lateral head of your tricep. Again, like I said, you want to be turning your shoulder in, and you want to be focusing on pushing down at an angle so that you can hit that outer head of your tricep. So another good option would be a cable extension, basically a single arm cable extension, and you're just going to use a regular handle, and you can do this underhanded, you can do this with a single handed rope, you can do this overhanded. Basically, as long as you have your elbow turned in, you're going to hit that lateral head. So I'll do it, I'll lighten the weight, and then basically, so I'm going to stand here, and you're going to take, and again, like I said, to hit that lateral head, you want to stand here, you want to turn your elbow in, and then that's going to be your starting position. So I'm going to do it underhanded. It's actually one of my favorite tricep exercises. Turn your elbow in, push down, hitting that lateral head of your tricep. And actually something that I just messed up is what you're going to do is you're actually going to step out a bit, because as I just felt when I was doing that just now, when I was right here and I pushed down to the bottom, right here, my arm is almost parallel to this cable. When your arm is parallel to the cable, there is less tension on the muscle. The muscle's not being worked as much when your arm is parallel to it. Whereas, if my arm was completely perpendicular to it like this, my tricep is being worked 10 times more than when it's just parallel and it's just kind of hanging out. When you're doing this exercise, remember you want to turn your shoulder in so that you're going to hit that outer head of your tricep. And then the starting position is going to be at 90 degrees up here. You're going to push down, squeezing that outer head, squeezing that tricep. And then at the bottom of the position, it's not going to be easy because you are a step away. And then you're going to go back up, feeling that stretch on your tricep just above 90, and back down, feeling that squeeze on the lateral head of your tricep. Back up, squeeze it down. Back up, squeeze it down, getting that time under tension. So that's another good exercise for lateral head. And then last, that brings us to our medial head. So with the medial head of the tricep, there's not a single exercise that is only going to hit the medial head. There are certain exercises that you can do that will target the medial head a little bit more than the others, but for the most part, I guess you could call them more compound type of tricep exercises that are going to hit basically all three of the heads in your tricep. Those are the ones that are going to really be focusing on building that medial head, building that muscle underneath the horseshoe so that you can have bigger mass on your triceps. So a good exercise for that would be a close grip bench press. I'll show you that right now. So close grip bench press. These are just so basically when you're hitting your medial head, a good way to think of hitting it is by pressing movements. Pressing is going to basically hit all three heads of your tricep and really put an emphasis on that medial head. So close grip bench press. The issue with close grip bench press, guys, is a lot of times people think that when they're doing close grip, they have to be basically all the way in, their hands like almost touching each other, and they have to go down and they have to keep their hands as far in as possible. When you are bringing the bar down and you're doing a close grip bench, if you have your hands all the way in, when you're at the bottom, your wrists are in a position where they are susceptible to injury. And at the top, it's the exact same thing. So when you're at the bottom, your wrists are not supposed to be in that position at the bottom. And then when you're at the top, your wrists are not supposed to be locked out like that either. So you're basically the entire time you're doing a close grip bench, if your hands are too close, your wrists are possibly going to be getting injured. And that's why you could have wrist injury if you don't already, if you're doing that. So when you're doing close grip bench, what you want to remember is that you literally just want to have your hands just inside of shoulder width. So just inside of shoulder width, and that is going to allow you, and then the other thing is that you really want to focus on tucking your elbows when you do this, and when you go down, you want to focus on keeping those elbows tucked into your body, and you want to focus on bringing it probably just below your nipple line, so just your under pecs, and then you really want to focus on driving through the bottom of your palms, really focusing on using your triceps to push that weight up. And back down, you want to feel the stretch and push back up, feeling the tension on the muscle. Back down, feel the stretch and push back up, keeping those elbows tucked in, and that is going to hit all 3 exercises of your tricep. Next. Okay, real quick, I'm just loading up this dip machine right here. I would go out there and I would just show you guys this on a normal bars where you're just lowering your body and doing dips, but there's people out there and I'm trying to be respectful. So come over here. So this is just a dip machine. A lot of gyms actually don't have the dip machine, and that's fine. You can do this on any kind of 2 bars that are going to be able to elevate your feet off of the ground, and you're going to be able to basically go down to 90 degrees and push back up. So obviously, since I've just mentioned dips like 6 times, dips are the exercise that I'm talking about that are going to hit all 3 heads of your triceps, but really give emphasis to the medial head. So when you're doing dips, what you want to focus on is basically when you're doing this, you basically want to feel, a lot of times when guys do this, they'll either, they'll put too much weight on it because they have too much pride and they think that they need to show off to everybody at the gym, so then you'll see them going like this and using a little bit of their chest and just any kind of muscle and creating and going up past where they need to so that they can use their shoulders and push their shoulders down to create momentum and just do anything they can to get the weight from point A to point B and then just letting it drop back up to the top. Whereas if you're focused on bringing this weight up, driving your elbows backwards, going up just to 90 degrees, and then pushing back down, keeping your elbows tucked, squeezing your triceps, that is when you're actually going to start feeling this muscle where you need to, and this is going to smash all 3 heads of your triceps. So come behind me to show them the tricep being worked. So basically, you're gonna come up, you're gonna feel that squeeze the entire time. You can see right now, my tricep is being worked on the way up as well, not just the pushing on the way down, but on the pushing on the way down, I'm really trying to get that peak contraction at the bottom without just locking my arms. So I'm still working my triceps without just letting it rest at the bottom like this. There's a big difference between this and this. You can see it show my triceps with that. Between this and this. And that's not me flexing, that's just me losing tension on the muscle because of how my body's positioned. So going, stretching it all the way up, pushing, keeping your elbows tucked in, and then pushing back down, pushing through your palms, and really getting that peak contraction on your triceps. So, those are great 2 exercises for the medial head of the tricep that will really help just build your triceps in general. And basically you don't have to, I would not recommend doing all 6 of these exercises for your tricep workout unless you're on some kind of steroids where you can actually do that. But for the most part, I just wanted to give you guys a video where you guys can go to the gym and you can actually start getting results from the arm exercises that you're doing so that you can actually start putting on some arm size and not get frustrated, because if you're one of those guys out there who has been frustrated with the size of your arms, I can relate to that because I used to be that skinny fuck who couldn't put on any kind of size, and it wasn't until I got educated in the gym that I actually changed that. And if you guys are looking for a program that implements everything, all of this, and you let me help you along the way, then you need to check out our website, vshred.com, and get one of our programs today. I actually have a free quiz that will match you up with the program that is right for you. You can just click it by clicking the link in the description below. Other than that, if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're asking any questions that you have in the comment section below, and subscribe to the channel so you're getting notified when I release a new video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.